Hi, I'm Terry. I'm here in Northern California. My family and I have had an above-ground pool for many years. And in the beginning, I didn't have anyone to teach me how to do any of it. So I've taken the lessons I've learned. I want to share them with you. Today, we're going to talk about winterizing our pool. So as you can see, we've already cleaned the pool. The chemicals are balanced. We went to Leslie's and had our water tested to make sure the chemicals were balanced. And I took my little special brush, went around the edges of the rim, brushed off the edges, and picked up all the debris that might have been on the edges all the way around. So this pool is balanced and as clean as it can be. Now next we're going to start adding our chemicals. Okay, we purchased our Winterizer kit online. This Winterizer kit is designed to work when your pool is going to stay below 65 degrees for the rest of the winter. So don't put it in too early and get a heat wave, because then you're going to have to go back to regular chemicals again and then go through your winterizing process again. So our temperature is 55 degrees, so I think we're in great shape. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put on our chlorine-free shock. We're going to walk around the perimeter of the pool and add this into the pool. Okay, we've got our shock in. Now the directions say we'll let the water circulate for 30 minutes and then we'll move on to our next step. Okay, we've let our shock circulate for an hour. By the way, a couple of things. If you put too much shock in one place, you want to get your pool brush, the one you use to vacuum the pool, and brush it off the bottom. Otherwise it could burn a hole in the bottom of the pool. You don't want it too concentrated there. Also, I put gloves on. I should have had them on when I was doing the shock too, and of course you always want to wear eye protection also. Now we're going to put our winterizer in. We're going to walk around the pool, evenly distribute, and away we go. Okay, now it's time for our winter stain away. This is going to keep stains out of the pool while over the winter time. Okay, we're going to let that run and filter for an hour, and then we're going to come back and lower our water level. Okay, we have our chemicals all mixed into the pool. Our winterizers, we're all done with that. Now it's time to lower our water level to 4 inches below the inlet and the outlet. So to do that, we can't just hook up our vacuuming hose to it, because as the water levels lower, you get a vacuum in there and it creates air leaks, and then you lose your prime. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our vacuum hose, we're going to take off our outlet, which is actually water coming out of the pool directly to the pump. We're going to connect them to this coupler, and I got this from Hydro Tools swim line. Very intelligent one, because it goes to different sized connectors hoses. So I'm going to put a clamp that I use from a socket, and then use a socket set to tighten it. So this is my vacuum hose where I vacuum my pool with this. It goes on here. I'm going to tighten this down to my connector. Almost there. We don't want to over tighten or else we'll break our connector, but we certainly want to have it tight enough to where it doesn't leak too much. We don't want to get an air pocket in there, or we'll lose our prime, which is what we're using to suck the water out of the pool. Alright, and then I'm going to take this off and put it on the other end. Now before I take this hose off, I need to close this all the way, and you see, due to the heat and sun, it has broken, but I can still get it down all the way. So it's important to close this first before you take the coupler off. Okay, I've got my connector hose connected on both sides. This is coming from my pool clean hose, connected to my outlet hose that goes directly to my pump. I've taken my water hose and connected it because I have to prime my hose with water. And I'm just going to lower this into the water, and then we'll turn my pump on, and I should have what I need to have a prime in there so I can start pumping water out of the pool. I'm going to put my, come on over, Jackson. I'm going to put my hose, I'm going to put my filter on backwash. I want to clean out my, see my backwash there? Turn this on, my timer, and I should have water. There we go. Okay, now we're finishing up our backwash. What the backwash is it gets all the impurities out of the sand filter. As you can see, the water that I primed my hose line, and the water is now being sucked out of the pool into the pump, into the sand filter, now out my drain, out to my drainage area. Now, I don't want to just run the backwash the whole way. I also want to use my wastewater. But you can never change the setting without turning the pump off. I should have enough time, if I do it quickly though, to turn the pump off, change it to waste, and then start that waste process where I'm dumping the water and getting it 4 inches below my drain lines. So we'll do that real quick. Off, switch, on. And as you can see, we're okay. Okay, I just wanted to show you quickly. Right now our hose is sucking the water out of the pool. This is our pool brush that we use to vacuum the pool. It's going all the way over to the pump. I stretch it out just so I don't get too many kinks in the line. But right now you can see our water line is dropping. And again, we're going to be able now to lower it to 4 inches below the inlet and the outlet. And that'll take 15-20 minutes or so. Okay, we've lowered our water line. As you can see, the water is down significantly below. By the way, it took about 45 minutes, not 15 to 20 like I said. I'm going to leave a thermometer in here, 54 degrees, so that we can keep an eye on what's going on with the pool. Again, we don't want it to get too warm, and also as it hits 65 in the spring, we want to be able to fill it back up and rebalance it with our typical pool chemicals. So now we want to get as much water out of the system as we can. If you're in an area where water can freeze, you'll have to add an additional antifreeze to the pool, but I don't have to worry about that here in Northern California. So we're just going to go ahead and get as much water out of the system as we can, and then we'll get our then we'll put our one more chemical in there that'll stay in there for the winter, and then we'll cover our pool, put our pump on top of it so we pump off the rainwater, and we're done for the year. All right, so first I'm going to take this out. We're going to lose our prime, get as much water out of the system as we can. And you'll know that I can tell that our pump has just run dry. So we're going to go back there and get it turned off. You never want to run the pump while it's empty. However, it can handle it for a little while. So now our pump is actually filling back up with water that it wasn't able to suck out. We'll get rid of that in a minute. But right now, I'm going to go ahead and open the drain on my sand filter and get the water out of there. Oh, by the way, let's go ahead and turn this to close because we are done with this. Close does not allow water to exit the system or filter. All right. Okay, now we're going to empty the water out of the sand filter. First couple of years I had a sand filter. I didn't know to do that, but figured that out later on. Again, you want to get as much water out of the system as you can. Just take some channel locks, give that a turn, open it up, and we're going to let that drain. It'll take a while. It'll ever so slowly drain out of there, and then we'll empty the pump and the hoses and keep moving forward. All right, while we're waiting for the water to drain out of our sand filter, let's go ahead and take off these connectors that we use to drain the pool. So this is my hose that goes from the outlet to the pump. It's pretty empty right now, so we're going to take this off. And I'm going to put it back on here, but I'm not going to tighten it all the way. I just want to keep it on there tight enough so it'll stay on. Loosen it up a little more. Tighten it enough to where it'll stay on, but I don't want to over tighten it because you get a lot of with heat and if it gets really cold during the winter, you'll get a lot of contraction and expansion. So I don't want it to I don't want it to be doing a lot of that during the winter. So it's just on there, just tight enough, but not so tight that it's watertight. One more thing we can do while we're waiting for our sand filter to drain out is we can go ahead and get this Winterizer floater into the pool. So this is another thing that came in our Winterizer kit, and I'm just going to poke some holes in it. This is some sharp scissors. You don't have to go too crazy. The other thing you want to do is you want to make sure you just lay this in the pool straight down like this. You don't just throw it in there because it may not turn over. And these chemicals will help keep the water balanced over the winter. And what you're looking for is you're trying to keep your pool from turning green. Even though it's cold, you can still get algae in it if you don't have the right balance of Winterizer in there. Oops, I'm spilling it all over the place. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in there and just drop it in. There we go. And that'll float throughout the winter and keep our pool nice. Last but not least for the pool is we're going to throw in our winter absorbent sponge. This just kind of keeps off grease and grime that can sometimes get into the pool. It'll absorb that and again help keep it clean. Okay, we've gotten the water out of our sand filter. I'm going to put the cap back on there loosely, not too tight, again, so it can expand and contract during the cool and the cold and warm of the winter. Now we've got to get as much water out of the pump system as we can. We'll take our lid off. First of all, we've got debris in a little bit of debris left in our filter. I'm going to take up the hose later and I'll just wash all that out, make sure that's out. I've got a little bit of water in here. I've got my wet vac. I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to suck as much water out as I can. I'm also going to raise my hoses up and get as much water again in here. I'll just keep going through that process where I drain it and get all the water out so that I've got an empty system throughout the winter. All right, we're pretty much finished with our winterizing. We've covered our pool. We've put a lot of bungees around to keep the tarp down. Here in Northern California, we can get 50-60 mile-an-hour winds in the wintertime. If you don't have your tarp tied down well, you're going to get leaves and debris underneath into your pool, and then you get contaminated water. So you can see we've got it covered. We've got our sump pump, which will get rainwater off the top of the pool and pump it to a drain, so that we don't have to worry about that. And we're set for the winter. Thanks very much.